What's up, everybody? Justin here to do the year in wrestling reloaded 1983 part 2. I'll be talking about a little bit of the AWA Starrcade 83 and a couple other things. First, this is the year in wrestling reloaded 1983 part 2. Check out my videos on the year in wrestling from 87 to 2015. Check out my year in wrestling playlist. The first one I did, where I covered every pay-per-view and stuff like that. But now, this is the year in wrestling reloaded 1983 part 2. I'm going to start it off talking about the Rocky 3 movie. Why am I going to talk about Rocky 3? Because of a wrestler that was in it and had a pretty good part in Rocky 3. If you've never seen the Rocky movies, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but get out of that rock and check out some of the Rocky movies. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I'm talking about the Rocky movies. Rocky before The Rock, before Rocky Maivia. The Rocky movies, Sylvester Stallone. He came up with the story, he wrote it, he even directed a few of them. So, Rocky 3, I believe, came out in 1983. If you've never seen the Rocky movies, well, this Rocky 3 had Mr. T in it as Clubber Lang. Mr. T fought Rocky as the main event at the end of the movie. And I enjoyed Rocky 3. I think it's a very good movie. I think it's an underrated Rocky movie. I mean, every Rocky's pretty good except for part 5 and part 6. And I think they even did a part 7. So, Hulk Hogan was in Rocky 3. Hulk Hogan was in it, had a pretty good role in it as a wrestler, facing Rocky Balboa in the movie. And Hogan, it was great. He was Thunder Lips in the movie. He beat up Rocky, picked him up, threw him over the top rope into the crowd. It was good stuff. And Hogan, from being in Rocky 3, I think he shot it when he was in the AWA, I believe. Or when he was in the WWF, and there's a story behind that. Vince McMahon Sr. did not want Hulk Hogan to go to be in the Rocky movie. He actually told Hogan, if you go to be in Rocky 3, I will fire you. So Hogan said, go ahead, because I'm not missing this opportunity. It made Hogan a big name. It made him a bigger star from being in Rocky 3. And as I said, his character was Thunder Lips, and it was good stuff. And if you haven't seen any Rocky movies, if you're too young and you haven't seen any of them, watch some of them. Watch part 1, 2, 3, 4. It's good shit. They're very good movies. I really enjoy them. I didn't enjoy part 5. And I didn't enjoy Rocky Balboa, the movie they made, where Rocky tried to make a comeback when he was like 60 years old. I still haven't watched that full movie. I've only seen like 20, 30 minutes of it, and I'm not going to watch it. And I heard Creed. They made a movie, a spin-off of Apollo Creed. Well, this is supposed to be his son. It's called Creed. I haven't even seen that yet. I heard that was good. So in 1983, Rocky Part 3, Hulk Hogan was in it. Hogan got a pretty big break from being in that. It made him a bigger star, and it just helped the wrestling business, in my opinion. Because then fans of Rocky 3 saw Hogan in it, and they probably followed Hogan to start watching wrestling because they found out Hogan was a wrestler. So there, I talked about Rocky 3, Hogan was in it, Thunder Lips character. Now I'm going to talk about the AWA I think it was 1983, they had a big show in Minnesota. I think it was called Super Sunday or something like that. It was in 1983. The main big match on it was the main event. Nick Backlund was AWA World Champion defending against Hulk Hogan. Hogan was super over at the time. This show, an event from 83, is actually on the WWE Network in the AWA section of AWA videos. So Hogan was super over. Hulkamania was running wild before he got to WWF. And Hogan did not win the AWA title. The finish was weird. I don't really remember it that well. But what I do remember is they acted like Hogan won the AWA title. Then after the match, they took it away from him. I think the referee was knocked out or something. So the ref took the title from Hogan and said, "No, you didn't win. No, you're not the champion." And stupid Vern Gagne, the guy's a smart man. He had the AWA running for like 3-4 decades. So Vern Gagne was not that stupid. But for this decision he made was really stupid. Vern Gagne kept having Hogan get title shots against Nick Backlund, and Vern Gagne kept having Hogan not win the title. That was not a good booking decision. That was a stupid booking decision. Because, I mean, over and over and over, you keep giving a guy title shots, and you're not having him win it when he was the most over guy in your company, and the fans wanted to see it. The fans wanted to see Hogan win the AWA title. And he should have been an AWA champion for a little while. But no, Vern Gagne decided it would be better to have Hogan keep losing and not win the title to get the fans to keep coming back. Well, that does not work after you do like 10 live events or 10 sellouts and you don't have Hogan win the title. That is bad business, and that's ripping the fans off. You don't keep having them come to the arena when they think they're going to see Hogan win the title and then he does not win it. So Vern Gagne, you were a very stupid man for not putting Hogan over and giving him the AWA title. That was the wrong decision. So anyways, Hogan got the title taken from him, and that was really stupid in my opinion. And by 83, Vern Gagne was pretty old. I believe the guy was really losing touch with the wrestling business because it was changing. So now I'm going to talk about Starrcade 1983. Starrcade 83 took place from Greensboro Coliseum, Greensboro, North Carolina on November 29th. Or November 24th. November 24th, 83. November 29th was Starrcade 84. So Starrcade 83 from Greensboro, North Carolina. November 24th, 83. The matches were... I've seen Starrcade 83 on the network, and some of the matches were pretty damn boring. But I'm going to go over the entire card and review it. Johnny Weaver and Scott McGee defeated Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin by DQ. That was a boring tag match. No disrespect to Johnny Weaver. The guy was pretty over in the South and in the Jim Crockett promotions. No disrespect to Kevin Sullivan. He's a legend. But that match was boring, and it ended in a DQ. Up next, Carlos Colon defeated, yes, Carlos Colon, the father of Primo. And I don't think he's the father of Epico. He's the father of Primo, Carlito, and Eddie Colon. Maybe Eddie Colon's Primo or Epico. I don't remember. But Carlos Colon has 3 sons, and they all became wrestlers, or 2 sons that became wrestlers. So Carlos Colon defeated Abdullah the Butcher by disqualification. This match was kind of entertaining to me because it got kind of hardcore and it got bloody. And it was ridiculous that Abdullah the Butcher, every time he was getting punched, he had a blade in his hand. He probably was holding it in his finger like this. And every time he got hit, Abdullah had to do this. I'm not joking. Watch it back. Every time he got punched, and it was just a working punch. It wasn't like stiff as hell. Every time he's getting punched, he's cutting himself. It was ridiculous. He was going like this. It was just absolutely ridiculous and insane that he was doing that over and over and over. And he wasn't cutting himself like super deep every time. He was just probably tapping his forehead because his forehead was already scarred up with scar tissue from years and years of bleeding, probably in the 70s. So Abdullah bled. He bled pretty much. And it was a good hardcore match. Ends in DQ. And it was cool to see Abdullah the Butcher and Carlos Colon go at it in Jim Crockett Promotions at Starrcade because they were not part of the company at the time, really. They were just brought in for this special Starrcade. First ever Starrcade. My thoughts on Abdullah the Butcher as a person: the guy's a scumbag. The guy is scum. First off, he sold his Hall of Fame ring. I don't like that. He should have never been put in the WWE Hall of Fame because the guy was never part of WWF or WWE. I guess you could argue that Abdullah the Butcher is a legend, hardcore legend, whatever. I don't like the guy. I think he's a scumbag because a couple years ago, the guy gave another wrestler hepatitis from Abdullah's blood going on the guy, on the other wrestler, and Abdullah gave this guy hepatitis from his fucking blood. So Abdullah the Butcher, you're a scumbag. You are a scumbag. And shame on you for selling your Hall of Fame ring. WWE was nice enough to put you in the Hall of Fame, and what'd you do? You backstabbed them and slapped them in the face and sold their Hall of Fame ring. Or your Hall of Fame ring. That was zero respect, not just to WWE, but in my opinion, that was zero respect to pro wrestling and the fans that supported you and the business that made you a great living. You decide to sell the ring and turn your back. In my opinion, you turned your back on the wrestling business that made you a lot of money. And you made a lot more money in Puerto Rico and Japan, because in the United States you were really never a big draw, except for maybe in the territories. So back to the Starrcade 3 card. I just had to rant a little bit because I don't like Abdullah the Butcher as a human being. As a wrestler, I guess he was a hardcore legend. But I was never a fan of the guy. So up next we had the Assassins. The Assassin 1 and 2, I guess they were called. They were kind of fat guys with masks on. So they were the Assassins. And they took on and they defeated Rufus R. Jones and Bugsy McGraw. I guess that was a decent tag match. I really don't remember it. So up next, Charlie Brown. Not the cartoon character, not the animated Charlie Brown character. He was a wrestler called his name is Charlie Brown. That's pretty funny. Charlie Brown defeated Kabashi, I think. Up next, Dick Slater, another tag team match. Dick Slater and Bob Orton Jr. defeated Wahoo McDaniel and Mark Youngblood. So I'm sure that was a good tag match because Three of those guys are pretty talented. Mark Youngblood, I don't really know who the guy is. But the other three guys were legends. Rowdy Piper now. Now Starrcade 3 starts picking up, and it got a lot better. It got pretty awesome for this dog collar match. Rowdy Piper defeated Greg Valentine, not Greg the Hammer yet, because he didn't go to WWF till 84. But Rowdy Piper, and Rowdy Piper didn't go to WWF either. In 1984 he did, where I will talk about in 84, Vince McMahon Jr. signed a lot of guys and brought them over to WWF to build up his company, to go worldwide, and to go national. So Rowdy Piper, he was not called the Hot Rod yet. He did not have Piper's Pit yet, but he's still Rowdy Piper, and he could still talk fans into the buildings. He was still a great talker, still had, Piper's promo skills, in my opinion, before WWF, his promo skills were still at an A+, and his wrestling and work was still very good also. So Rowdy Piper defeated Greg Valentine in a dog collar match. I think it's for the U.S. title also. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Greg Valentine was U.S. champion in, I guess, his non-title match. So that match got bloody. The dog collar match got bloody. Piper's ear got busted open and is bleeding profusely. Wouldn't stop bleeding, and blood running down Piper's cheek and jaw. And after that dog collar match, Piper has said, on DVDs I've seen, Piper has said, Greg Valentine, that his ear got so damaged in the dog collar match that he could not hear much out of that ear that was bleeding. So that dog collar match, legendary. It's a legendary match. If you're a new fan and you've never seen it, watch it on the network. It's on the network, Starrcade 83. Watch the dog collar match if you've never seen it, because it's part of wrestling history, and it's damn good. It's not PG either. Like the PG stuff we get now, it's pretty bloody and pretty violent, and it's awesome. Up next, we had a tag team NWA World Tag Team Title match. Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood defeated NWA Tag Team Champions Jerry and Jack Briscoe for the tag team titles. It was a great, old school, great tag team match. And it was great to see Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. Two great tag teams, but Ricky Steamboat and a very young Jay Youngblood, they were a damn good tag team. And it's very sad Jay Youngblood had to pass away, because the guy could have went to WWF in the 80s and he could have been a pretty big star. At least a big star in another tag team. Maybe he could have been in a tag team in WWF with Ricky Steamboat. That would have been pretty awesome. So up next, we had the main event now. With the special guest referee was, I believe, Gene Kaniski. I think was a special referee, former NWA World Champion Ric Flair challenging Harley Race for the NWA World Championship. NWA World Heavyweight Championship. In a cage. It was built as a Flair for the gold, and it was a pretty awesome cage match. Parts of it were pretty slow. The action, the wrestling was pretty slow, but it was still an awesome cage match. Ric Flair bled a lot. His bleached blonde hair turned red, as it did many, many times in his career, because Ric Flair has probably bled and bladed. What I mean by blading is, that's how they cut themselves. They blade. So Ric Flair's probably bled probably 8,000 times in his career. Or the guy's probably had more than 10,000 matches, so he's probably bled 8,000 times. So Ric Flair wins a big one, becomes a two-time NWA World Champion, and no doubt about it, the win Ric Flair got at Starrcade 3, the push he was getting was big for his career. Because Jim Crockett Promotions, they were pushing Ric Flair as the guy, as their franchise. The AWA had Nick Bockwinkel as a champion. And the AWA had Hogan, who was really super over before he went to WWF at the end of '83. And Jim Crockett Promotions, the company that put on Starrcade '83, before they became WCW, they were known as the NWA, part of the NWA. Jim Crockett Promotions had their guy in Ric Flair. And Ric Flair definitely is the guy of the company. Ric Flair definitely delivered. He knocked it out of the park. He hit a grand slam basically every time he cut a promo almost, in just about every match or title match he had in the NWA. Ric Flair always delivered. He always delivered. It was definitely Ric Flair's yard in the 80s in the NWA. Unlike in 2017, some guy thinks it's his yard, and it's not. And he's not delivering, really. He's not delivering like Hogan, Nick Bockwinkel, or Ric Flair have delivered. So that was Starrcade 3. Not many matches. Well, I guess there were pretty many matches. It was a good event. It was on closed circuit TV before pay-per-view. Starrcade 83 happened before WrestleMania. So Starrcade did it first. And I would say Starrcade 83, wrestling-wise, Starrcade 83 was better than WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 1 just had more celebrities, more stars, and WrestleMania 1 just felt bigger. It was bigger. WrestleMania 1 was definitely bigger because they were in New York City. Madison Square Garden was sold out. And they just had all the celebrities, and the crowd was more into WrestleMania 1 also. Starrcade 3, the crowd wasn't that good. So that was Starrcade 3. Now I'm going to talk about the WWF in December '83. Bob Backlund was champion. I think. Let me try to look it up here in this book. This Wrestling Almanac. They have all the title changes. So there's a lot of titles. AWA, tag titles, world title. So yeah, '83, the AWA title did not change hands. So Hogan might have got it, handed to him, but he got it taken away. So AWA title did not change hands in '83 until, didn't change hands until '84. '82, Nick Bockwinkel won the title, and he kept it until somebody else had it in '84, and he won it back. Or someone else defeated Nick Bockwinkel in '84. So Hulk Hogan is not on the list of AWA World Champions. He's not mentioned or on this list. So that means he was never officially a AWA World Champion. Now let's find the WWF World Title changes. A lot of titles here. IWGP Heavyweight Title history in here. Yeah, Hulk Hogan was the first IWGP World Champion when he won it on June 2nd, '83, as I said in part 1 of the Year in Wrestling Reloaded '83. So let me find WWF title changes. There's a lot of titles here that are listed. So WWF World Heavyweight Title changes. Bob Backlund won the title in 1980. No, that's not right. Bob Backlund won the title in 1978. So he held the title from 78 until '83. Bob Backlund lost the world title on December 26th, 1983 in Madison Square Garden when the Iron Sheik I think he made his debut already. But the Iron Sheik defeated Bob Backlund. When Iron Sheik had him in his finisher, Cobra Clutch, and Bob Backlund did not quit. He didn't quit. He didn't give up. The referee didn't call for the bell until Bob Backlund's manager threw the towel in. Threw the towel in for Bob Backlund. His manager was Arnold Skolden. Arnold Skolden was a legend in the WWF, and he was Bob Backlund's longtime manager. Arnold Skolden. Also, Arnold Skolden worked backstage for years and years and years for WWF and WWF. So, Bob Backlund loses the WWF World Title to the Iron Sheik on December 26th, 1983. So, the Iron Sheik is the new WWF champion to end in 1983. And the Iron Sheik would only hold on to the title for less than a month. For less than like 31 days. Iron Sheik would hold on to the title for less than a month because Hulk Hogan came in. As I said in part 1, Hogan came into WWF in 83. In November or December of 83. January 84, we all know what happened. Hulkamania was born in the WWF, born in Madison Square Garden in New York City. This ends Year in Wrestling 1983 Part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Some of these videos are going to go long because I got a lot to talk about. I talked about Starrcade 83, talked about a little bit of AWA. So the next Year in Wrestling video reloaded will be on 1984, where I will talk about Starrcade 84, where I'll talk about some of the talent that Vince McMahon brought in 1984. And I'll talk about other stuff also. News items, news stories, stuff that happened in 84. Hope you enjoyed part 2 of the Year in Wrestling Reloaded 1983. Is in the books. Next Year in Wrestling Reloaded will be on 1984. Bye for now, everybody. Have a great, great weekend.